You know that feeling? When your to-do list, it just seems to explode overnight,
Hmm.
and you're tackling tasks, but they feel, well, suspiciously like they belong to someone else.
Yeah, like you've suddenly got this collection of things that aren't yours.
Exactly. It's like you've become the caretaker for a whole troop of monkeys. You know, those next steps, those little tasks that somehow leap onto your back.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
Right.
And it really gets to the core of what we're diving into today, this idea of monkey management.
Right.
It sounds simple, almost playful, but it's actually got the potential to really change how you handle your time, your team, everything.
Totally. And our main guide for this exploration is The 1 Minute Manager Meets the Monkey. Great title. By Kenneth Blanchard, William Onken Jr., and Hal Burrows.
And it's important to note this builds on William Onken's really influential 1974 Harvard Business Review article. You might have heard of it. Managing Management Time. Who's got the monkey?
A classic. And these authors, they really knew their stuff when it came to management and while not drowning in work.
And they certainly did.
Yeah.
So our mission today, really, is to get under the skin of this monkey management concept for you.
Okay.
We want to help you spot those moments, those interactions, where you might be unintentionally grabbing someone else's monkey, someone else's problem.
So you can, actually focus on your stuff, your own priorities.
Precisely. Managing your own responsibilities effectively.
All right, let's get into it. The book starts with a scenario, and I think, honestly, this is going to sound familiar to a lot of people listening.
Oh, yeah.
It's this manager, right? Working crazy long hours, constantly busy, seems super productive, but never quite feels like they're getting on top of things. Sound about right.
It's the classic picture, isn't it? Buried under work. And this manager, they try the usual fixes, work even longer hours, go to time management seminars.
Been there.
Right. But that feeling of being completely swamped, it doesn't go away.
And the book argues, look, these fixes, they're just treating the symptoms.
Exactly. The real root cause, the book says, was actually self-inflicted. It wasn't lack of effort.
No, it was this unconscious habit of picking up these monkeys.
Those little critters.
Yeah. Those specific next actions needed for a task or a problem, things that really should have stayed with the team.
That's the key definition, isn't it? A monkey isn't the whole giant project. It's just the very next move.
The next step.
Yeah, that specific action, that decision point required to keep things rolling.
Okay, so the book gives this really vivid example. Picture this. A manager walking down the hall. Team member stops them. Boss, got a second. We got a problem.
Ah, the classic hallway ambush.
Right. And what happens next in that seemingly normal chat, that's where the trouble starts.
It's fascinating because the manager's intentions are usually good. They want to help, right? Problem solving is part of the job description.
Of course.
So they listen, they engage, but then maybe they're short on time or they're not sure of the answer immediately. They say the deceitful words.
Okay, let me think about that and I'll get back to you.
Bingo. And just like that.
Poof! The monkey has jumped. It's switched owners.
It's no longer the team member's immediate next step to figure out. Now it's on the manager's mental or actual to-do list. Think about X.
And the team member walks away feeling great, like, phew, off my plate. But the manager, they've just added another invisible weight to their backpack.
And if you break down the dynamic, the book points out that every single monkey involves two parties.
Okay.
There's someone whose job it is to work the monkey to take that next action. And there's someone whose job it is to supervise it. In that hallway moment, by saying, I'll get back to you, the manager just volunteered for the worker role on that monkey's next step.
And the subordinate, who's now waiting for the manager's input.
Has effectively become the supervisor for that specific task. They're waiting on the manager, it flips the whole thing on its head.
Wow. Okay, that's subtle but powerful. The book lists some common examples of these snatched monkeys, right?
Yeah, things like a memo that needs the manager's input before going to another department, or requests that come up because, you have more experience, boss.
Or drafting a job description. That feels like one that lands on managers' desks a lot.
Definitely. And the classic incomplete work from the team that comes back to the manager to finish or fix.
Ugh. And what about those ricochet monkeys?
Ah, yes. Problems that maybe started somewhere else entirely but bounce onto the manager's desk just because of where they sit in the org chart.
Okay, but we need to be fair here. The book isn't saying managers should never help or get involved.
No, absolutely not. That's a crucial clarification. There are monkeys that legitimately belong to the manager.
Like what?
Well, stepping in to genuinely help staff who are maybe sick or new and untrained, handling real emergencies, or, importantly, acting on well-considered recommendations from the team.
Right. It's not about abandoning your team.
It's not at all. Good management involves support and handling things that truly need your level of authority or perspective. The danger zone is when you get buried under tasks your team could and should be handling themselves.
And that's how the cycle starts, isn't it? This negative feedback loop.
Precisely. The more monkeys the manager willingly takes,
The more the team learns, hey, the boss will take this. So naturally, more monkeys find their way over.
it just keeps feeding itself.
Uh-huh.
And consequences pile up for the manager.
Right.
Well, you start borrowing time from your personal life, evenings, weekends, deadlines slip. You become a bottleneck, slowing things down not just for you, but for everyone waiting on you.
Procrastination probably kicks in too because you're just overwhelmed.
Definitely. And then there's the opportunity cost the book mentions.
What you're not doing.
Exactly. All that time spent wrestling with other people's monkeys is time you don't have for your own strategic thinking, planning, leading, the stuff that's actually your core job.
Okay, so it's a mess. How do you break out of this? This is where the solution comes in, right? From that seminar William Onken developed.
Yes, the Managing Management Time seminar. And out of that came Onken's 4 rules of monkey management. These are the practical steps.
The antidote. Okay, let's break them down. Rule number 1, descriptions. What's that about?
Rule 1 is simple but critical. Any conversation about a problem or task must not end until the next moves are clearly specified.
Not just talking about the problem, but defining the immediate next action.
Exactly. What specifically needs to happen next, and who is going to do it. So instead of a vague, we need to look into the budget, it ends with, say, okay, you will get 3 vendor quotes by Friday afternoon.
Or draft an outline for the presentation by tomorrow morning, even if the next step is just think about options and come back with 2 proposals.
Precisely. Even thinking is an action. It needs to be defined.
And why is this clarity so important? What are the benefits?
Well, there are a few big ones. First, knowing they have to define the next move forces the team member to do some thinking before they even come to you.
Less just dumping the problem.
Right. The book has that great little anecdote where the manager's boss says something like, "You mean you don't know what to do next?" "Well, I don't either. That's 2 of us who don't know, and the company can only afford 1.
Okay, point taken. Encourages preparation. What else?
Second, it naturally keeps the bias toward action with the team member. The next move is usually something they need to do, not something the manager needs to get back to them on.
Keeps the monkey where it belongs.
Exactly. And third, having that clear next step is actually really motivating for the person who owns the monkey. It makes the task seem less daunting, clarifies expectations, breaks big things down.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Define the next move. Got it. Rule number 2, owners.
Rule 2 is just as direct. The monkey must be assigned to a person, one specific individual.
No ambiguity.
None. Because people care more, they take more responsibility for things they explicitly own. If ownership is fuzzy, things drift. Monkeys get lost.
And there's that core principle attached to this rule, isn't there?
Yes, a really important one. All monkeys must be handled at the lowest organizational level, consistent with their welfare.
Meaning, push the responsibility down as far as it can reasonably go.
Exactly. And this isn't about the manager dodging work. It's about efficiency and development.
How so?
Well, your team members, they often have more direct knowledge, more context about the issue, they're closer to the ground. Collectively, they also have more time than you do.
True.
And crucially, letting them handle it preserves your time, your discretionary time for the higher level stuff only you can do.
The book talks about that anti-straddle reflex with the word we. Tell us about that.
Right. The manager in the story learned to recognize, we've got a problem, as a warning sign.
A sign the monkey is trying to climb onto their back.
Or at least straddle the fence between the team member and the manager. So the manager developed a response like, you say we have a problem. Let's be clear. Is it your monkey or my monkey? Which is it?
Forces the ownership question right then and there.
Exactly. Clarifies who's taking the next step.
I like that directness. Okay, on to rule 3. Insurance policies. Sounds intriguing. What kind of insurance are we talking about?
This rule tackles the balance between empowerment and risk. You want your team to own their monkeys, but you, the manager, are still ultimately accountable, so you need some protection.
Makes sense. What are the policies?
There are 2 main levels described. Level 1 is recommend, then act.
Okay.
This is for higher risk monkeys. Situations where a mistake could be pretty costly or damaging. The team member does the groundwork, figures out a proposed solution or action.
But
But they have to bring that recommendation to you for approval before they actually do anything. You retain veto power.
got it. A safety check for important stuff. What's the other level?
Level 2 is act, then advise.
Mm.
This is for lower risk monkeys, or situations where you have a lot of confidence in the team member's judgment and ability.
More autonomy here.
Much more. They can go ahead and take the action, handle the monkey, and then they just let you know what they did afterward. Keeps you in the loop, but doesn't require your pre-approval.
And choosing between level 1 and level 2 isn't fixed, right? It depends.
Absolutely. It's dynamic. You might use level 1 for a new employee or a particularly tricky project, then shift to level 2 as they gain experience or as the risk diminishes.
Who decides which policy applies?
Either the manager or the team member can suggest it, but ultimately the manager agrees on the appropriate level of oversight. The goal is always to use the least restrictive policy possible to encourage autonomy.
Right.
But as the boss in the book wisely advises, never let the company go down the drain simply for the sake of practicing good management. You still need to protect the organization.
Pragmatic. Okay, that's insurance. Rule number 4, feeding and checkups. What does that mean? Monkeys need feeding.
Metaphorically speaking, yes. This rule is all about scheduled follow-up. A monkey, like any project, needs regular attention to stay healthy and on track.
So don't just assign it and forget it.
Definitely not. Before the conversation about assigning the monkey ends, you need to agree on a specific time and place for the next follow-up, the checkup.
And the purpose of these checkups, is it just micromanaging?
No, not at all, if done right. It serves 2 key purposes. First, it's your chance to check in, see the progress, and offer praise and encouragement for good work. Reinforce what's going well.
Okay, positive reinforcement.
And second, it's crucial for early detection of problems. It lets you spot if a monkey is getting stuck or going off track before it becomes a major crisis.
The book had that story about Eric, didn't it? The capable guy who wouldn't ask for help.
Right. Highly competent, but reluctant to admit he was struggling until a small issue had snowballed. Regular scheduled check-ins would have caught that much earlier, allowing the manager to offer support before it became a disaster.
So these checkups prevent things from going completely off the rails. And rescheduling them sends a message too.
A powerful one. If a checkup is scheduled and you, the manager, have to postpone it, it signals the relative priority. Conversely, sticking to the schedule reinforces the importance of that monkey.
Okay, so those are the 4 rules: descriptions, owners, insurance, and checkups. Now, the book says applying these consistently leads somewhere bigger.
Yes, it leads towards true delegation.
And they make a distinction between just assigning a monkey and delegating. What's the difference?
It's significant. They quote Mark Twain, saying it's as different as lightning from a lightning bug.
Aha, okay.
Assigning, using the 4 rules, deals with one specific monkey, one next step at a time. You're still quite involved in defining it. Delegation is when you entrust someone with a whole family of monkeys.
An entire project or area of responsibility.
Exactly. The person you delegate to then manages all the interconnected monkeys within that project, applying the 4 rules themselves. It's a much higher level of ownership.
And the benefit for the manager is?
Leverage. Massive leverage. Your output to input ratio goes way up. You're overseeing the whole project, not managing every single step. It frees up enormous amounts of your discretionary time.
But you can't just jump straight to delegation, can you? What's the bridge?
The bridge is coaching. That's the critical ingredient to get there.
Coaching, how does that fit in?
The book defines coaching as the process you use to get projects and the people responsible for them up to cruise altitude.
Ready for delegation?
Exactly. In fact, it states very clearly, the purpose of coaching is to get into position to delegate.
So you coach until you can delegate.
Precisely. You can only truly hand over that whole family of monkeys when you're confident the project is heading in the right direction and the person is capable of handling it independently, using the rules themselves.
There's that example of coaching Gordon, the guy who was initially a monkey factory, right?
Yes, a detailed example of the manager coaching him through a technical problem he brought.
What made that coaching work? What were the key elements?
Well, first, Gordon came prepared, which immediately lowered the manager's anxiety. Second, the coaching dialogue ensured Gordon left knowing exactly what to do next. Third, Gordon took the initiative to line up the resources he needed.
Okay, taking ownership.
Fourth, they agreed together on the standards for success, what done looked like. And finally, Gordon showed real commitment to seeing it through. The manager guided, questioned, supported, but Gordon did the work.
So it's about building confidence, both the employee's confidence and the manager's confidence in the employee.
Absolutely. It's a partnership to get them ready for full ownership.
Now, shifting gears slightly, the book also talks about managing your time across different categories.
Yeah.
Onken's 3 kinds of organizational time.
Yes, this is a really useful framework. He identified 3 main buckets where a manager's time goes. First is boss-imposed time.
Time spent doing what your boss wants or needs.
Exactly. The golden rule of management, as the book calls it. Those who have the gold make the rules. You have to meet your boss's requirements. And keeping them informed actually helps reduce this time, preventing unexpected demands.
Makes sense. Keep the boss happy, less emergency work. What's the second type?
Second is system-imposed time. This is the time consumed by interacting with the rest of the organization peers, administrative requests, policies, procedures, basically organizational overhead or red tape.
The necessary bureaucracy. The book had that funny story about the chair.
Ah, yes. The manager trying to bypass the system to get a break-in chair fixed and the trouble it caused illustrates that sometimes you just have to work within the system, even if it feels inefficient.
Right. Got to play the game sometimes. And the third category?
The third, and perhaps most critical, is self-imposed time. This is the time spent on things you choose to do.
Okay.
And this splits into 2 crucial subtypes. There's discretionary time, that's the good stuff. Time for creating, innovating, planning, leading, developing your people.
The high-value manager activities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the other type is subordinate imposed time. And guess what that is?
Time spent doing your team's monkeys.
You got it. And the book's big point here is that your discretionary time, the most valuable time you have, is usually the first thing to vanish when you get overloaded.
Squeezed out by the boss, the system, and especially the monkeys you shouldn't be carrying.
Precisely. So the strategy for getting control back starts with aggressively identifying and eliminating that subordinate imposed time. Give the monkeys back.
And by doing that, you free up capacity.
Which creates more discretionary time. Time to recover, time to focus on your boss, and the system demands more proactively, and most importantly, time for actual leadership.
So it all connects back. Managing monkeys well directly creates the space for better management overall.
Absolutely. And this leads to what the book calls the ultimate conversion.
Which is?
The mental shift. Moving from being primarily a doer, someone who gets satisfaction from their own tasks, to being a true manager.
Someone who derives satisfaction from the team's accomplishments.
Exactly. Enabling, guiding, developing others. When that shift happens, the vicious cycle of overload and frustration gets replaced by a vital cycle.
A positive loop.
Yes. Productivity improves, morale goes up because people feel trusted and empowered, and the manager actually gets more discretionary time, not less. Everyone is focused on doing their best work.
And the manager is finally where they should be, leading, strategizing, kind of in the picture, overseeing things, not lost in the weeds doing everyone else's tasks.
That's the goal. Effective monkey management gets you there.
Yeah.
It's not just about time management. It's about effective leadership.
This has been really insightful. So wrapping it up, the core message seems incredibly clear.
Yeah.
If you understand these principles, these 4 rules, how monkeys get transferred, the difference between assigning and delegating, you really can take back your time.
You can empower your team, make them more capable.
And free yourself up for the strategic work, the leadership stuff, that only you can do.
Absolutely. It's a powerful framework.
So here's a final thought, maybe something for you to chew on after this. Take a quiet moment, maybe later today. Think about all the monkeys currently sitting on your shoulders. Be honest. Which ones are truly yours? And which ones have maybe hitched a ride?
And then ask yourself, what's one specific next move you can take, maybe even today, to start respectfully handing back one of those misplaced monkeys to its rightful owner?
Just one small step to start reversing that flow. Definitely some food for thought there. We hope you'll reflect on these ideas and see how they might apply to your world. Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive.